Yo, yo, what's good, Niner fans? We are live, and guess what? The return of Christian McCaffrey is officially upon us. It looks like all signs point to Christian McCaffrey playing on Sunday. According to Kyle Shanahan, he says he's been awesome. He's been looking good as long as there's no setbacks, as we've been saying all week, all couple of months, as we've been speculating the return. As long as there's no issues the next couple of days leading into Sunday, he's expected to make his season debut against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Fire me up, ladies and gentlemen. I'm hyped up. Christian McCaffrey, the reigning offensive player of the year, back on Sunday. Are you kidding me? This is like the trade deadline move. This is the 49ers winning the trade deadline. This was their blockbuster. They're getting a healthy Christian McCaffrey back for the second half of the season. Man, CMC season loading, whatever you want to call it. I'm hyped up, man. This is so great for the 49ers. They're 4-4, and we've always been keen to seeing the 49ers make a big run down the second half of the season, a huge, stretch run winning streak. And it looks like with Christian McCaffrey now, they can go and do it because he's such a difference maker on this team. He is a guy that just changes the dynamic of everything on this team. All reliable. So this is fantastic news for the 49ers. Absolutely amazing news. Christian McCaffrey should be back on Sunday, according to Kyle Shanahan on KNBR a little bit ago. So that is fantastic news. It's not the only good news that we'll talk about tonight, but Christian McCaffrey back is going to change the complexion of this team, change the outlook of this team. He changes the offense. You can be more versatile. You can be, more creative. You can open up the play action game, the screen game. You can line up Christian McCaffrey at wide receiver. Just him being there, even if he doesn't touch the ball, is a threat because then teams are going to load the box or they're going to shadow him. If he goes out as a receiver, they're going to double team the guy. They're going to shadow and trail him. So all of that will help the 49ers offense. And the red zone. This man scored 18 touchdowns in the red zone last year. Let me tell you again. This man scored 18 touchdowns in the red zone. That is where the 49ers have struggled on offense. You get old, reliable back in the offense, your red zone scoring is going to go up. I'm telling you, this is the key. Kyle has struggled on offense this year, making a game plan, I feel like, without Christian, which is totally understandable. He is such a game changer. He is the most dynamic player on the 49ers offense and in the league. That's why he won Offensive Player of the Year. Like, this guy can do it all. Literally, as a running back, he plays like a wide receiver and a running back, and that's the 49ers. They get guys that are versatile and can do everything. And Christian McCaffrey is the best of those guys. It's unbelievable. So, yeah, Raymond says, expect us finishing in the red zone finally. Oh, man. Return of the Mac. Wait, rewind that back. Return of the C-Mac. Yeah. My only hope, my man Ethan says, my only hope is Kyle doesn't abuse him. Only put him in him when it's obvious it's going to go to him. David says CMC carries Kyle. CMC carries this offense. Well, let's be honest with ourselves. This man carries the team, carries the offense. It's going to be a much-needed return. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that we don't need him and he doesn't carry this offense. He is a big part of why this offense has been successful over the last several years since he's been on the team, 2 years. He's a game changer. Like I said, he's a difference maker. He does so much for this team. But not only that, it's just the fact when he's on the team and on the field, he can be a decoy. You don't have to give him the ball, and everything else opens up. Brock Purdy's going to go out there and have a bigger game than he's had all season, I think. And even when Jimmy was on the roster, like Christian McCaffrey came in, he looked like a serviceable quarterback. Like he was dialing it up. So I feel like this man is going to make this offense so much better. They're going to score at least 10 more points. They're not going to be dropping field goals. They're going to be scoring touchdowns in the red zone, most likely, I think that's going to change. They'll be able to score more. They've been moving the ball effectively this offseason. It's just once they get into that red zone, they go kerplunk. And now I don't think they're going to be kerplunking in the red zone. And I think with Christian McCaffrey, again, just opens up so many more roles on this offense. And you got to remember, there's another guy coming back this week, Juwan Jennings. That return to me is even almost just as big because the 49ers have had some issues at wide receiver. Debo has been going through a lot of stuff this year. Brandon Ayuk, unfortunate for him. We know he's out for the season. But Juwan Jennings has looked like the best wide receiver on this team. They got a lot of younger guys, Jacob Cowing and Ricky Pearsall. Now you add Juwan Jennings to the mix, and he looked like a wide receiver one when he was healthy and on your roster this year. So you get him back, you pair him with CMC. Red zone's going to go booming. This offense is going to go absolutely out of its mind this weekend. I'm ready for it. So, but I'm not going to count out the Bucs. The Bucs are a solid team. You know, they're 4-6. Don't let the record fool you. They're a tough team. Baker's played absolutely fantastic this year. And not only that, Baker has, you know, he leads the league in touchdowns and in touchdown passes at the quarterback position. It's pretty damn good. And in the last 2 weeks, you would think that would change. He's still dealing. He doesn't even have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, but shout out to Baker. He's playing good football. So it's not going to be easy. But I think the Niners being healthy is the huge advantage. Getting these guys back like Jennings and Christian McCaffrey is going to do wonders for this team. And the fact that they had the bye week, that's going to really propel them to a victory. I think that is going to be the key. You're going to have fresh legs. The Buccaneers are coming off a massive, tough game against the Chiefs on Monday Night Football, and they get short rest. So I think that's going to be a big disadvantage. And the Niners should win because of that disadvantage. So Noah says they should try to use all 3 running backs. I agree. Julia says, will Kyle have Mason be the every down running back and CMC as a third down in red zone? Maybe when he comes back, maybe initially, but I think as the games go more and more, Christian McCaffrey is going to be your main guy. But the thing about Jordan Mason, let's talk about Jordan Mason. He was limited today in practice. He had the blue non-contact jersey because today's practice was a little bit more intense than yesterday's practice. So he was downgraded a little bit, according to the report. So I can't expect Jordan Mason to be going out there and getting a big-time load of carries. He's also banged up himself. So maybe he gets 10 carries. Maybe CMC gets 10 carries. I expect him to split it. And then Isaac Arendo, the rookie, has played really good football over the last couple of weeks. And I think he's proved that he deserves some carries. So maybe a 10-man split 3 ways. Maybe you get 10 to Garendo, 10 to Mason, 10 to CMC. It also depends on the situation. Also, again, CMC can line up as a receiver. He doesn't necessarily need to be in the backfield. You might have Jordan Mason in the backfield. You might have CMC on the play at the same time, but he's lined up in the slot, or / Garendo in the backfield and then CMC in the slot. So he doesn't necessarily have to line up at running back, Christian McCaffrey, but he can still be on the roster. You can hand it off to Mason. You can do a dump off pass to CMC. So there's just more variety that you're going to have with Christian McCaffrey. So good stuff. The 3-headed monster, says Noah. I like that. The 3-headed monster. Raymond says, I'm confident with Garendo in the backfield. I am too. Observe natural evolution, says Kyle should only use CMC as a receiver. Nah, I think you have to mix him in as a running back because that gives you the threat of him, running and playing out of the backfield, and that'll help your play action. And I think that's a big reason the 49ers offense hasn't been as explosive. They're not having the threat of the play action as much, right? Teams know when Mason's back there, okay, he stuffed the box 9 times out of 10. That's probably the right call. And there's no illusion. There's not a lot of motion at the line. They're not doing it as much. And I think if CMC's there, oh crap, is CMC going to get the ball? You load the box up, fake it to him, play action, and then you got Jennings, boom, you got Debo, you got Kittle. So I think you have to at least line up Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. Even if you're not going to give him the ball, you got to open up that play action game because they've been really lacking and slacking on play action on the running back screen. The little dink and dunk plays, which people complain, oh, it's a dink and dunk offense. Sometimes you need a dink and dunk your way down the field. Patrick Mahomes has dink and dunked his way down the field this year for a big part of the game. It's okay. You're scoring points. However you get down the field, if they can't stop it, that's on them. That's the point of football, is scoring, getting down the field, running plays that the teams can't stop. And if it's short passes, who cares? You dink and dunk your way down the way. If you win a championship, nobody's going to sit there, oh, you dink and dunked all year. You couldn't fucking stop it. So I think it's important to have Christian McCaffrey doing a little bit of everything. So do I think Purdy will be under center more since CMC's back? I think it's still going to be a mixture of both. Be back out in the shotgun. I think he will probably be under center maybe a little bit more. But, Purdy, you got to realize he's also a little elusive. And one of his goals this year was to use those legs a little bit more and be more athletic. So I think we'll see a little bit of, Purdy under center. But I still think the same setup he's been going through as of late, backup shotgun away from center. And then there's going to be more maybe option type plays now with CMC there. And again, maybe you have a dual running backfield. So maybe Purdy's in shotgun. You have Mason here. You got Christian McCaffrey here, or Kyle Juszczyk, or Garendo, or whoever. I think it's going to be just so much more variety of what the 49ers can do. One guy, Christian McCaffrey, makes a massive difference because he could do everything that you need an offensive player to do. He's a true weapon. So my man Jimmy, what's good? How's it going? I'm good, man. Ian Sharp says Goff is dinking and dunking. Absolutely. And it's working for them, and they're winning games now. So as Dominic Toretto once said, according to Julius Callaway, it doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning is winning. That absolutely. When the Niners win a game, I'm pretty damn happy no matter how they won. Okay. I don't care how they win as long as they win. I know some people, they barely beat them. If you win, it's good. At the end of the day, yeah, sometimes you want to blow out a team, but you want to win the games. And if, sometimes you have cardiac arrest and you almost lose a game, but you hang on to win, you hold your hat on that and say, well, we didn't blow it, and thank God they won it. So, yeah, a win is a win, is a win is a win. So, Andy says, I would love to see more Purdy running plays. I think we'll see. I think we'll still see a good amount of Purdy using his legs. Because, again, Christian McCaffrey, it's not like he's 100%, coming back and going to take his whole 20, 25 carries a game. Still going to have to be eased into the lineup. And a couple of weeks ago, he could have played, according to Richard Sherman on his podcast yesterday. He says that Christian McCaffrey could have played, but he didn't because of the fact that, they wanted to be overly cautious. So I think Christian McCaffrey will be back, but they're going to be very cautious on his return. So that's the way I look at it. So let's talk about a couple other injuries, though. Malik Mustafa, unfortunately, was added to the practice injury report today with the calf injury. This is a guy that who's been playing really good, a rookie. But the good news for the 49ers is they signed Tashawn Gibson to the practice squad a couple of days ago. So if Mustafa can't play because of his calf injury, I think Tashawn Gibson, he'll get called up on Saturday. You plug and play. He's a starter. He knows the defense. He's been here for 2 years. So that's a guy that could just come right away, and they're not going to miss a beat. So that is good news for the 49ers. If there's ever good news on an injury, yes, Malik Mustafa, he's injured. It sucks, and he may miss this weekend. But you got Tashawn Gibson. So that's the good news. Deebo Samuel, he should be playing. Juwan Jennings should be playing. This is according to Kyle Shanahan on KNBR. So, yeah, it looks like the squad is coming back. Yetur Gross-Matos, he was back this week. He's limited. John Feliciano. There was an interesting note by Chris Forster today. Chris Forster did say that he does not expect John Feliciano to be a starter when he comes back. So he's a backup. He's going to be a rotationary player on the O-line. He doesn't expect him to start. So you guys take that with how you want to. I know he's a good player. Maybe it's just going to take him some time to earn a starting spot. But, he's been banged up. They don't want to ruin the cohesiveness and the chemistry that their O-line has. So we'll see how the rest of the season goes for Feliciano. But it's nice to have some depth there. And moving forward, we'll see how it goes. So those were the bigger updates, really injuries. And then Nick Bosa missed practice today too. Well, not necessarily missed it, but he was limited. He didn't go through the full practice. He went through warm-ups, but he was limited today because of a hip injury. He was also limited yesterday. So a little bit of a injury to keep an eye on is Nick Bosa. We'll see what the final reports are tomorrow. I expect Nick Bosa to play on Sunday. I don't think he'd miss this game. He's been dealing with some soreness throughout the year. I just think that with Nick Bosa, you don't need to practice him and you let him be limited, and he'll be able to suit up on game day. He's a guy that doesn't necessarily need to practice. So how did Bosa get hurt on a bye week, says Aaron? Well, he was already been dealing with an injury since Minnesota, so I think it just kind of flared up. And maybe he was partying a little bit too much on Tuesday night. If you know, you know. Probably a little hyper excited on Tuesday night. So Leon Sandcastle says, sometimes Bank has to come out and we see Burford sub in. With Feliciano back, does he sub in instead, or you think Burford will still get the call up? I think they'll mix it up. I think Feliciano will get subbed in at times. I really do. I think that he's a guy that he could come in and just give him some good reps in terms of letting a guy rest. So I think we'll still see Burford because they like him. He hasn't done anything wrong. But I think they'll also let Feliciano come in a few plays here and there just because you got to get him rolling. You don't want him to sit around and do nothing. And, I think that having Feliciano is just going to be good in terms of depth overall. And if a guy's not playing good during a game and it's not that he's, tired, you can take him out and let Feliciano play a little bit. So I think it can open it up for, not only Burford, but Feliciano in case there's players not holding up their weight in a game. So that's a good question, but I think they'll both I don't think they're going to take away Burford from rotating in. He's played good. So unless he goes out there and he shits the bed, then they won't let him rotate. But Burford's played good this season when he's been in, and we'll see what Feliciano can do. They at least got to give him some reps to see where he's at, with his knee and everything. Can he hold up? So I think they'll both get some game time action. But yeah, just like Raymond says, I'm glad we have O-line depth. At the end of the day, that's the biggest takeaway is the Niners have depth on the O-line, and that's fantastic. So my man, California Man, says, on a side note, former 49ers Rick Scangellero was fired as the Raiders quarterback coach the other day. Yeah, they got rid of a lot of coaches. Rick Scangellero was so bad. He was bad as the 49ers quarterback coach too. So not surprised on that one. My man, 49ers First Take says, what's Debo's over-under on snaps Sunday before he takes himself out? I think Debo, they got to be safe with him, but I think he plays about 20, 25 snaps. People hate on Debo, but he's a grinder, man. He's played through a lot this season and every season, so we'll see. Let's see. Where does the Niners O-line rank among the league? They're somewhere middle of the pack. I don't remember exactly their ranking. I had it a few weeks ago. We had pulled it up, but I don't know how it ranks up after this bye week, but they're somewhere in the middle of the pack. They're better than a lot of people actually are giving them credit for. They're doing better than most people would think. But yeah, they still can get better in terms of pass protection, because a lot of times we'll see Brock running for his life, right? So pass protection needs to get better. And I think that their run protection could get better. And also, too, with CMC, I think it will get better because he just understands how to run through those spots on the line. And again, we'll see. You get a player like Christian McCaffrey back, that helps everybody, even the offensive line. So, let's see. Any other questions, concerns? The good news, again, today, Christian McCaffrey is expected to return to game action. He's supposed to make his debut Sunday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, according to Kyle Shanahan on KNBR. Fantastic news. Everybody's excited. We're all hyped up. What do you guys think? What do you expect out of Christian McCaffrey? I think he might get 10 to 15 carries. Hopefully they don't overuse him on his first game back. The big test is going to be on Monday to see how he feels after his first game. Is he going to be sore? He's surely going to be iced up after the game. So that's going to be interesting to see how much are they going to use this freaking unbelievable player, Christian McCaffrey. Again, the reigning offensive player of the year. How effective is he going to be? And how much are they going to use him? Don't want to overuse him on his first game, right? So it's going to be interesting. My man Julius says, we need more positive energy. Yeah, season's far from over, my guy. We still got a big stretch run. And I think, again, the big key here is the 49ers got healthy over the bye week, and their returns from players that were hurt is like their trade deadline moves, right? Yetur Gross-Matos is coming back. Juwan Jennings, you got Tashawn Gibson's back on the team now. He was the guy that they missed and wish we would have had him throughout the season. Christian McCaffrey's back. So getting players back is huge. And that right there is why they didn't feel compelled to go and make a big blockbuster move in the trade deadline. They didn't need to, because their big blockbuster is getting Christian McCaffrey back, right? Dre Greenlaw's coming back in a couple of weeks. So I think the Niners are in a good position. They're in a good position for as good as you can be at 4-4, if that makes sense. I think right now the Niners are where they should be. Obviously, they could be better record-wise, but it was a tough start. Injuries, whatever the case, everything happened that happened. You can't dwell on that. And I think they're in a spot where they can go on a big run, and the return of these players is going to really give them a lot of juice. A lot of other teams, they're not getting players back like this. They're going through a season where they're hurt. They're going through adversity. Look, the Buccaneers, they lost Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. That sucks for them. They're losing games because they don't have all their key players, and teams are going to get injured as the season goes long, as the 49ers are now getting healthy. And that's a big difference. So I feel like the 49ers are in a good spot, And I think they're ready for a massive, massive run down the second half of the season. So there we go. Christian McCaffrey, ladies and gentlemen, he will be back on Sunday, as long as there's no setbacks before now and game day on Sunday morning. And everybody's got to be hyped up for Christian McCaffrey. Can't wait to wear the Christian McCaffrey jersey on Sunday. You guys have a good rest of your night. My man Peter Parker was good. Hope you had a good one. We'll be back. We were live earlier on Instagram. I was live just now on YouTube. We'll be back a little live later if there's anything big that happens. Otherwise, I'll see you guys tomorrow. You have a blessed rest of your day. Go Niners. Christian McCaffrey back on Sunday. Shout out to you. My man Peter Parker says, you killed it with Greg Papa. Thank you. We got a lot more content coming from that. Greg Papa, super nice guy. I'm so happy that he was able to let me, have him on my RSF 49ers show at the Plex. It was good times. He's just a super nice guy. So shout out to Greg Papa, great guy. We hooked him up with some Chubby's gear from our sponsors. So good dude, man. I was happy to have had the opportunity. So you guys have a good rest of your day. I love you. Bang, bang. Not again.